Do you sell online? Do you want to know how to succeed in 2023? Then join our WAPI community and learn about trends, tips and secrets of e-com world. Our speakers are international experts and leading providers of e-com services. Join us and deepen your knowledge in e-commerce. And yes, the webinars are free.
Hi, everybody. It's WAPI Webinars again. I'm very glad to be with you here. 2023 is going on, and we're here with some wonderful information for you, wonderful experience that we want to hear from our special guest today. It's Dr. Pradeep Kumar Sacitharan. Hi, Pradeep.
Hello, thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you very much that you joined our webinar. So, Pradeep trained as a scientist at Oxford University and Harvard University, and then became vice president of global business development for Biotech. Wow. During the pandemic, he found himself in a unique situation, which led him to start his Amazon e-commerce business. He became a 7-figure seller in 11 months. I think that's because you have experience with Oxford and Harvard. 11 months, 7-figure seller. Now has new business model of acquiring distressed assets and runs his own elite Amazon management and large agency. That's a huge experience. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Yeah, sure. First of all, before I start, we were talking about mindset. I wanted to tell my early story. So my parents were migrants from Sri Lanka. We settled in a very rough neighborhood in northwest London. A lot of drug dealers. So I was the only Asian kid. So they used to come to me, and I didn't run away like most Asian kids. I fought back. So in my teenage years, I was around bad trouble. I was always fighting. I was in gangs, and I did not like school. So I dropped out of school at 16. I think I have 1 C for English, GCSE, which is like a high school. I dropped out, and I was working in Tesco. I was working in supermarkets, bars, clubs. So I was learning life, but the problem is I had very bad people around me with gangs and so forth. Lucky to God or whatever, whoever, the universe, I didn't get into any trouble with the police or so forth. But I was just trying to fight with friends and so forth. And then one day we had a serious fight at 21. I got hit on the head, massive scar here. I don't know if you see. And I was in a coma. For 4 hours, I was in a coma. I didn't see God. I didn't see anyone. And I woke up and I had no friends from gangs, no one. So I said, what the fuck am I doing with my life? What am I doing? My parents worked hard. They came to this country. So the thing is, I was doing weightlifting. I was a semi-pro weightlifter. They gave me discipline, wake in the morning. And the other side was working and in trouble. So I like biology. So I made a phone call, went to a teacher in a small college, and I said, can I get back in education? He said, do 1 year foundation. So I done 1 year foundation at 21. I was a dropout. Then I got a scholarship at Imperial after 3 years. Then in 4 years from dropout, I went to Oxford and a scholarship. So that changed my whole life and thinking, not because I'm genius, it's because I was disciplined and I found a talent and I just went obsessive. So what people say, and I go around the world teaching kids, the society is telling you one thing, which is right, but if you find a certain way, you have to take the risk, right? So from there, from Oxford, I went to, and I told my professors, in 2017, I was the first one in history to win the British, European, and American Scientist Award all in 1 year because I discovered a drug for osteoarthritis. So I said, oh my God, look what I done. And I told my professor, hey, can I have some money for some drugs I want to discover? I said, no, because they said you're too young and it takes 30 years. So again, I listened to the journey, what I've done. I said, there must be something I can do. So what I did is instead of doing 10, 20 years of postdoc or becoming a professor, so forth, I started writing for my own fellowship. So then the first fellowship, I went to Harvard, came back. Then I went to Sorbonne, Paris, came back to the UK. Then I went to Hebrew University, came back. And every time I went, I learned a very special technique with a special professor. So I got the world's
But
best, and I learned from them.
what were you doing at these universities, and how did?
So, yeah, yeah. And how did
So
what? Sorry.
yeah, you have chosen the best universities of the world.
Yeah.
What were you doing?
So I
How?
went there for 9 months Harvard, 3 months Paris, Sorbonne, 6 weeks. I learned one science technique, a method. So my thing was, why should I do 10 years of experience when I can learn everything quickly, and I do it quickly. So in 1.5 years, I learned 3 techniques, and I came back say, look, now I've got the techniques, I got the method with the best mentors. Can I now get the money? And the UK said no. I said, okay, that's fine. So then I said, what can I do? I made 272 phone calls on Excel sheet around the world. One guy
Okay.
picked up in China, and he said, come to China. If I can tell you the story, and I tell the kids and everyone, when you make phone calls or when you make applications, luck favors you. So one Chinese guy, a dean in the professor, he had my CV. It was on the table. His associate dean saw the CV and he said, why is this guy with all this very good education coming to China, right? And the top guy said, I don't know why he's doing it, but if you want to take it, take it. So this guy, the assistant professor, dean, contacted another guy, his friend. I said, I saw this CV on a table. I don't know what this guy is doing. Maybe he's bullshitting, maybe he's fake, and give him a call. So that guy picked up my phone call. So if you make the calls, the luck favors you. So I said, yes, I'm coming to China. So within 1 week, I packed my bags. I said, thanks to my family. I was 28 and I went to China. So all my friends were struggling to get jobs or becoming whatever professors. In 2.5 years after my PhD, I became professor, associate professor in China. And 30 years they said it would take me to make drugs. I discovered those 3 drugs in 18 months because I had the budget and I had the people. So that changed my way of thinking. It's a mindset, how you can scale and how can you do it quickly, right? And then someone in China saw this and they said, wow, this guy, he came to me. He's a CEO of a biotech company. He said, can you do business development? I'm a scientist. I don't know ROI. I don't know any numbers. I don't know anything. I'm being very serious, Alex. I'm like, okay, let's do it. So I went to Nanjing and I started doing business development in Europe. And we've done that very well. And we work for other pharmaceutical companies. And one of the questions like, how do you make revenue? How do you scale, right? And I said, oh, how do I scale? Then I realized to make the biggest revenue quickly, you have to buy revenue, right? Revenue generation from 0 to 100,000, it's hard. But if you buy at 100,000, it's easy. And if you buy it quicker, so you do M&A, right? I'm like, this is great.
Okay.
So I told my boss, listen, give me the money and I want to go to Europe and buy distressed assets. So we're buying cheap companies, making people redundant, closing buildings and taking clients and contracts back to China. Because already they're using Chinese manufacturers. So I cut the middleman.
Yeah.
So that company went to 1.6 billion when I left. They're doing very, very well. So I was in China and I'm getting the story. It's a mindset, right? So you can see from a childhood why I have a mindset of scaling quickly. The pandemic hit and I was sitting there alone, no family, no friends. My mom was phoning me saying, hey, we're hearing the news. People are dropping dead in China. What's going on? You have to get out, right?
Yeah.
I looked out the window, nothing's wrong. Everything's fine. And I said, okay, this is fine. Then I looked at the next day, the streets were empty. And then someone comes, they started sellotaping my door. They said, all people stay indoors, you only order through apps. So I was getting food through apps. I had water, I'm a big weightlifter. I had water bottles. I was doing weightlifting with water bottles. I was doing pull-ups with hanging ropes for clothes hanging. So we're doing pull-ups there. And I said, this is crazy. And then they let me out and they told me, all foreigners, you can only go to one hotel, very good hotel. So I go there and I'm the only foreigner left in Suzhou, no one else. And I'm very social. And I see all these big fat Chinese men with cigarettes, smoking. laptop, bada bing, bada bong, bada bing. I said, what the fuck are these people doing? So I went to the table and I said, what do you do? They said, we are a factory association. We're all factory owners. We all come together and we talk strategy, a bit like what you're doing in Sri Lanka. So I said, do you do this every week? They said, yes, yes. So I got to know 49 factory owners. And I said, oh, what do you do? So we sell on Amazon. We sell abroad from China, manufacture M to C. I said, let me see your numbers because I do corporate business development now. 300,000 a day, 220% ROI. I said, this is crazy. So within 3 days, I used VPN. I set up my company in London. I done a deal with them to sell toys, only toys, into the UK market. So we done very well with toys. Then we went to face masks. Yes, we sold face masks. Then we went to pet supplies, lint removers. We done very well. So I was doing this Amazon business, and then at the same time I was doing science, right? So eventually, when I came back to London, I said, "Hey, look at me! I have all this amazing science experience, business development, drugs, everything. Can I have a job?" They're like, "No, now you're overqualified and too young. We can't make you vice president at 33 because everyone is 50." I said, "What the hell, man?" I said, "Okay." I had a great career. I discovered drugs. It's published. Let the ego, identity. I think it comes down to ego, right? I said, let it go. Just become an e-commerce seller. So the last 3 years we've been doing e-commerce. I've been doing e-commerce. So that's how I got into e-commerce. At the moment, we do three things. Number one, we build our brand, our own brand. Number two, now we're buying brands, particularly distressed brands at a cheaper price.
Yeah.
And number three, we're doing consulting for a handful of clients that we think we can grow. Our biggest client just done 34 million in the US, and we grew them by 25%. So we're very proud of that. So those are the three things we're doing. It's a long story, but I think people need to understand the mindset and how people say Oxford, Harvard. It doesn't mean anything to me. It's the journey to Oxford or Harvard. It's the journey in life.
So
and
what
how
do you think?
Do it.
What do you think, looking back at your experience, what is the key silver bullet? What is the key success factor? Because you've told in several minutes, you've told about so many successes in your life, so many journeys that you did absolutely confident. You were going to the result. What was helping you to go for it and to reach the result? How do you think?
Yeah. I think it's not one silver bullet. It comes down to 3 or 4 factors, right? And I tell this to people. Number one, I've seen now elite drug dealers, I've seen billionaire CEOs, and I see Nobel Prize winners. It all comes down to, I think, risk appetite, right? How much risk you can take and how much risk you can sleep at night. Risk appetite is number one.
Okay.
They're very closely followed by ambition, right? I don't care about IQ, whatever. It's about risk, ambition, and that's very close. And number three, it comes down to persistence, right? You got to hit. There's an analogy. If you have an oak tree, if you hit it in 1,000 places, it doesn't fall. But you hit an oak tree in the same place 1,000 times, it will fall. So persistence, right?
Okay.
And number four, I think for me, it's about people skills, right? My mom says if you put Pradeep in a village in Afghanistan or Harvard in Oxford, you will survive because you understand people. That's more important, right? It's more important than anything because if you don't work with people, you don't go. So risk appetite, ambition, persistence, and people skills.
Wow.
And sometimes it doesn't come down, you don't need to know. If you know your why, there's a saying, you don't need to know how. You know your why. How will come. Method will come, but you should know your why. And then you go straight for it.
Thank you very much for watching our webinars. I hope you like it. So my company WAPI is creating all of this, and I'll take my chance and tell you a little bit more about WAPI. If you're selling something, for example, you're selling wonderful sunglasses, you live in Italy and the Italian market is full of your sunglasses and everybody is very happy. So now you want to go global, you want to go international. So what you need to find the right sales channel, and then you need to send all these products to your customers. That's where WAPI comes in. We have integrated a huge amount of sales channels. We have huge amount of partners, service providers in e-com that will help you to expand to any country where you want. Send us an email, ask your question. Our key account manager will help you to grow your business to a new level. Thank you very much for being with us. Thank you that you subscribe and stay tuned.
Super life hacks. Thank you for that. Let's come back.
It's been a great seminar. Thank you. Goodbye.
Yeah, that was actually the almost 90% of your success, guys, who is listening to this. all the rest will be just how, why, you have already heard. So go for it. But we will talk a little bit about how, because our topic today is how to scale Amazon business during the recession, lessons learned from distressed assets. And I would be super glad to hear Pradeep's thoughts on what's happening right now in Amazon, how to be successful. And for example, to answer the first question, why are so many businesses failing on Amazon?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think people, there was a Goldilocks, period. When the porridge was just right and people were eating the porridge, and Goldilocks, the period was when, the pandemic came, online went up, everyone was doing well. Now it's going down, and it comes down to a very savvy and clever operators understand that it was a period there, but they need to change. Many people, what we see now, we've gone through now 92 distressed businesses, right, to acquire. We only want to acquire one. Because what we see is that a lot of people have been fooled by the golden period, but they don't know how to adjust for this period, right? So we see a lot of problems with inventory management, with COGS. We see a lot of problems with human resources. We see a lot of problems with expertise and brand management. We don't see many problems of PPC and listing optimization. That's baby rubbish. Babies can do that, right? Any agencies or anyone can do that, right? Anyone can teach that. So because that's very individualized, personalized, and you can change it quickly like this. The real foundations of negotiating the COGS, negotiating 3PL with partners like WAPI, negotiating inventory management is where we feel that's going wrong, and human resources. And if I can give you two examples.
So in general, if I understand you, you're talking about efficiency, right? About the cost.
Efficiency and foundational business 101. It sounds very boring, but that's where a lot of people are failing, and they can't manage to correct it for some reason because they're too far ahead now.
Yeah, because they're running after the results. This is the story when your goal is the volume, the revenue, and you're not focused on the costs. And in the result, you see the raise in your revenue, but in the result, you don't see EBITDA, you don't see the profits.
And we see a lot of people posting ACOS this, PPC this. Oh, it's great, but what's the EBITDA? What's the top cost for the overall balance? What's actually happening in efficiency? Where are you spending your money? When we see the P&L, Alex, it's crazy. We spoke to a small aggregator, and I said, I said, what is this $160,000? And he said to me, oh, he's a brilliant talent. He runs our whole operations for shipping logistics. I said, why do you pay him $160,000? He said, because he used to be the guy who sent tanks and bullets into Afghanistan, Iraq, right? I said, okay.
$160,000. It is the salary for a logistics manager?
Yeah, for all of global logistics. I said, what the monkeys is going on, right? I said, this is crazy, because what they've done is have cheap debt and they have cheap equity, and they spent it wrong. Now debt is very expensive. Equity is going to be more precious. So I said, this guy might be very bright, but you have 10 ASINs going into Amazon USA. Why are you paying 160,000? It's crazy.
Tell this company that there is WAPI. Our subscription is 1,000 per month. It's 12,000 per year. 12,000, not 160. We will give all the network of logistics, all the warehouses, everything, and we'll help to manage it.
So you need to find these things. Yeah.
If you want, you can pay.
And then we find other where the negotiation with Chinese factories have been very poor. Because I know China, I know how to negotiate. So terms are still 30 days. If you have $300,000, $400,000 worth of product going into China, money, you should have at least 120 days, 90 days terms, right? At 30% upfront. So those are the things we see that sellers and Amazon people not doing very well. And you need to leverage those now to be successful because it's very hard time.
Absolutely, and the COVID time and the previous year, I think those years have learned. People had to learn. For example, WAPI, we became much more efficient in the previous year because if you want to survive, you have to look at the costs. This for us, it was like most of the 2022 was about what you are talking now. And we did very successfully. And I agree with you that probably those who did it, they will have success. Those who didn't manage it, they will very big chance to fail.
I agree.
Okay. So how can someone launch on Amazon and scale very fast? So as I understand your different experience from others, not just starting, you know how to scale very fast. Can you tell about this one?
Yeah, sure. At the moment, you have to have risk appetite. You need to spend a bit more. It's more expensive to launch on Amazon. I think there's products and categories that we can win, particularly if the Chinese sellers or Amazon don't want to do it. Particular things like gated categories will be very good. If you have access to manufacturers in gated supplements, weapons, I know I'm going a bit crazy, but medical devices, so forth, I think it will be great categories. I'm giving you all the secrets. But if you have a direct manufacturer that can leverage, for example, during the pandemic, we had in Sri Lanka, we had, it does a lot of shirts, a lot of clothes, textiles for big brands. I worked out, I found my auntie who knows the factories, and they're doing very badly. They shut down. So I said, hey, here's some money. Turn your textile clothes, shirts into face mask machines. So what they've done is they've produced face masks. So instead of now I buy from China, which is crazy, and everyone was going there, I was producing masks in Sri Lanka and making a killing because it's called equipment financing. I learned this in pharma. So I got a percentage of the equipment, got some masks for a very, very low price because I invested in the equipment and factory. We started selling. Yeah. So there's tricks of if you can find factories that can do your product or invest in those with exclusive agreements, the profitability margin is crazy. So that's very good. We also encourage you to have.
So what is the return on the investment in speed? So how fast can you return the money?
So we're looking to we always say to our sellers, before when you start in 2014, you had 3 or 4 times, but we're looking for 10 to 12 to 13 times ROI in terms of investment because it has to cover all the PPC, all the logistics, and all the expenses that maybe even Amazon fees will go up. So you need to cover those factors.
No,
so
I mean, if you invest in factory's equipment, what is your plan? How fast to return the money for this investment?
I'll be very honest. That was a very unique situation. We got the money back within 3 to 4 months because we were printing masks out like crazy. And also we done B2B as well because as soon as we went to Amazon, we said, look, Amazon there is doing good sales. The quality is there. Yeah. So we started selling to some local governments as well. So that's very honest. And you got to leverage those kind of Amazon numbers as well. And people forget that.
Yeah, my question actually, but when I was telling about scaling, was connected to one your sentence before. You said you have to buy the revenue. So I
Oh,
thought that this sentence, buy yourself revenue, this could work for any company actually, not only Amazon, right? So what
yeah.
is the secret here? What is the secret here that you have found for fast scaling, like with this tool, buying the revenue?
Yeah, it's something we have started now in our company, Donsfield, to start acquiring companies. So it's something I've done very well in pharma. So imagine you, Alex, I have 100,000 a month business, right? But
Okay.
it doesn't mean you invested 100,000 pounds. It might be that you invested more than that in terms of time, failure, effort, even cash, right? Now, for
Mm-hmm.
me as a person, I don't care about all those things. If I'm going to buy 100,000 revenue, that means I come and buy your company. All the history doesn't matter. I now have 100,000 in revenue. So that's the
Right.
quickest way to buy revenue, to increase your company's value, is to buy revenue. So if you look at Microsoft, they brought LinkedIn, right? If you look at all the best players, Apple have brought several people. Bill Gates, he didn't invent MS DOS. He brought it, I think,
Mm-hmm.
for $50,000 of someone. So most of the top people and the highest company acquired to get bigger. And there's no way you can tell me if you're at a substantial level and you have cash flow
Mm-hmm.
that you don't spend that cash flow to buy companies. If you don't do it, you're A, you don't have the risk appetite, B, you don't have the ambition, or C, you're very badly consulted or advised. So you need to buy the revenue. So if you want to go from 1 million to 10 million, the quickest way is to buy revenue. But you got to buy it
Wow.
cheaply and at a good EBITDA. So if a deal is at 2.2 million, the multiples you pay now should be one and a half now in the e-commerce space. Because
Mm-hmm.
before people were saying three, some of the aggregators went to eight. They say, oh, it's a good business. Well, it's not a good business because most of them are struggling. So 1.5 is for a very good business deal, but you don't pay all the money up front. You do seller financing. You say, hey, we give you 1.5 multiple, but we give you 60% upfront, 40% earnout. So that's how you negotiate. And the 40%, if it's positive cash flow, you can pay the 40% with the cash flow coming in. So that's how you actually grow revenue quickly.
Cool. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for this life hack. I think it will work for a lot of people. So, how do we de-risk potential hardless?
Yeah. So one of the things I keep telling people say your business is my baby. I say it's not your baby, it's your
Yeah.
business, right? You have to cut. You have to cut. So some of the businesses we console, most of the time we won because we cut a lot of dead weight. We cut people, we cut assets, we cut branding managers, and we cut products. So one of the business we want to acquire, they gave us 52 SKUs and products. I said 22 will go. I said I don't want to buy your inventory for 22. They said why? Why? I'm like, well, why are you buying 22 inventory and is that zero sell through? It makes no sense. They said, oh, we thought it has a brand, it will go. I mean, if it's not selling, why are you selling it and buying it more? So you have to cut products if you're going to buy a company. If you want to scale a company, you have to understand if you have a hero product, is a hero product, and the next product you're bringing in, can it be associated with your hero product? Can it sell within a
Yeah.
bundle? And we don't advise you take a risk and go with another hero product in a completely different category unless you have real substantial money and backing. We're talking about 100,000 to launch, right? If you want to be risk averse, you have to have something that links your existing brand with another product and sequentially go. And if you have a
Mm-hmm.
gap in the market, for example, I don't know, if you have a laptop as number one product and your laptop has a special USB port and only you can have this USB port, you sell that and then you go with that and you go with that. That's how you, in this recession, launch products. But if you have the money, you go to different category and leverage that as well. But as I said, it comes down to basics and trying to find the right manufacturer in the world to actually get the right product. And can I tell you something? One thing, a lot of people are saying, go to Mexico, go to Turkey, go to this place and that place. They're right. But what we find is that China is still the place to go to. And a lot of the consultants, gurus will say, pretty crazy. I am crazy, but China is the best. China is the best place, I still think, for the next 5 years, right? Then you can obviously de-risk. If you look at Apple, what they've done is they're still in China, but 10 to 15% they moved to South India. So they're slowly de-risking. But you can't move away straight from China. So for those people who are spending a lot of time product researching in other places, China is still the place because A, they have a 1.4 billion domestic market that needs consumption. So the raw materials and production are still there. B, they're still supplying the world with most things. And C, some of the worlds like Mexico can't do silicon very well, can't do other products very well. So most of the stuff is still in China. So you can still find good deals in China, and don't get fooled by what a lot of people are saying. And come to us if you need help with China sourcing and so forth. We can help you through WAPI as well.
Yeah, that's great. And all the tips that you're sharing with us today, they're not only about how to choose what company to buy. You can look from this perspective on your own company, right?
Yes, and see how you can, go on, sorry, finish, sorry.
Yeah, so what I heard, so you look at your company, first what Pradeep is doing, he is cutting the costs, cutting everything what is not needed. People, products, everything, projects, everything that doesn't work. Yeah. And then what you said, if I'm right, you search for something that works. One thing that works the best. And then you're trying somehow to scale it from this place, adding the bundles, adding the cross sales, but focus on the place where that generates the money. Did I get right the idea?
Yeah, focus on that place and make sure that your fundamentals like shipping, 3PL partners like WAPI, and also your COGS, the fundamentals are correct for each of your products. That's what we're missing now. The PPC listing, if you're a decent seller, anyone can fix that. The fundamentals, if you make a mistake, it's very hard to go back and fix. Right? PPC, you can go in, bing bong bong, you can change it. But the fundamentals you can't change. So that's important. And third, if you have enough money, the safe bet now is to buy companies, not to launch 100 products. Buy small and put it together. And that's the secret. And also be very careful, including me. I'm not a guru. I don't sell things. Be careful who you listen to, because some of the profit and loss statements we see, there's too many brand managers, too many gurus, too many consultant fees. We saw a guy spend 10,000 for someone to remake the bottle. Once you have money, it doesn't mean that there's a genius that comes and does it, right? And don't be fooled by Oxford, Harvard, all this nonsense, right? People are people, right? People are people, and make sure you get a very good price for everyone. And also look abroad, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Philippines, still very good talent, particularly in Pakistan, very good tech talent, very good Amazon talent, and they can do most of the things others can do. We're working with a e-commerce agency that does recruitment, and we can get 10 times less the talent and salary in Pakistan or Bangladesh than here. It doesn't mean that we're abusing them. They're getting very good pay, but it's actually remote working. So we need to go back to that as well.
I agree absolutely 100%. Like after the COVID, even before the COVID, we were already global people, right? But because of COVID, for me, for example, like the borders, they just crashed. There is this online world that is whole, and you can use hire people from everywhere, connect with partners from everywhere, and everybody is very interested in it. And you've got absolutely amazing amount of opportunities if you stop thinking that you are living in one country. If you think that you live in the world, you get amazing amount of opportunities.
Yeah, I mean,
So
if you look back at what I did, I was in one part of the world. Everyone said, "Why are you going crazy going to China?" But you have to go where your opportunity is. If you have an idea, someone in the world needs your expertise and idea. It's up to you to find them,
yeah,
right?
but do you feel that today going to China is like taking a bus to the next city? Like it is almost the same. You just go
Yeah,
to the airport, fly. It's almost the same. It's just change of the mindset. For
yeah,
some people, they are moving from one city to another city in one country. It is not a problem for them. And so, what is the problem for you to change the cities between the countries?
yeah. It's very important, and I think you get it. So I'm going to say this out in your podcast. And when I made my decision, I'm going to Oxford. One of my professors in a small university, very nice guy, he liked me very much. He said, "How are you going to get to Oxford? How?" I said, "I will take
Yeah.
the train from Paddington Station." So I'm being
That's
serious,
good.
Alex. I'm being serious. And people say I'm crazy. I put a suit on, tie, right, nicely. I don't know. I went, I looked around, I talked to people, and it's a mindset, right? I said, "Oh, these
Yeah.
people are no different, right?" And then the mindset clicked. From when I went from Oxford to Harvard, the people in Oxford said, by the way, there's a lot of Chinese people that work at Harvard. They said they work very hard. I said they work hard
Yeah.
because I work hard. So I took a plane, went to Harvard, same thing. I lived in a hostel, very cheap because I was on scholarship money. I couldn't afford much, right? A scholarship money. Went in, relaxed. I looked around the environment. Oh, I said, this is no different. Then I came to Harvard, right? So the same thing. When I went to China, same thing. And I tell people, this sounds very silly, but if you can't afford to go to China, right, go to Chinatown in your area. Find out how the Chinese communicate, their culture, their EQ, their actions, how they eat, and so forth, right? And it sounds crazy. Get WeChat, communicate with some logistics people, communicate with factories,
Yeah.
understand people's mindset. That's more important. And once you get that culture, you can do business. It's about perception and mindset and being in a place where you can imagine. And if the mind can imagine, you can execute. And it sounds crazy, but it's
Wow.
always worked for me.
Wow. No, it doesn't sound crazy for me. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. I hear absolutely 100% logic in all what you say.
yeah,
So
yeah.
the same time you say you're not guru and you say don't listen about Oxford and Harvard, but the same time I love to see people, entrepreneurs who succeed, who build companies, because I always feel that these are people with vision. They see something and then they go after it.
Yeah.
So my next
I,
question will be about your vision in e-commerce. What do you see for 2023? What trends do you see? Because of course we all know that you can earn most of the money if you're the first on the market, if you're doing something that all the rest are not yet uh, found out that there will be the money. So do you see something?
I'm not telling you. I'm joking. No. No, no. No, no. No. So interestingly, on LinkedIn, I put something up. I'm always posting on LinkedIn. So follow me on LinkedIn because I'm always posting some nice articles and some data I'm reading, and some motivational stuff I picked up. So there's a fact. I don't know if it's statistical or where I got the graph. By 2024, no matter what happens, e-commerce will double worldwide. So it's going to double, right? And that's not a bullshit, and that's the actual data and projection. Even
Yeah.
if it's going, we think personally, we think Eastern Europe is a massive market. It will go. So that's why I think partnering with WAPI is very important because you have presence there. So Eastern Europe and those areas where e-commerce is not there, you have more fulfillment center, more delivery options, more products online, more younger people being technically savvy than the older generation. And those are the places you target. It sounds crazy, but I believe Amazon will go into other places. We see it in the Middle East. There's going to be a big boom in the Middle East, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, America has the money. Yes, Germany is the second biggest market. I think if you want to acquire in Germany, it's a great country, the infrastructure, WAPI is there; they can do your fulfillment in Germany. But
Yeah.
you're going to have very cheap assets. But if you want to launch products, look at markets that are not coming up. Australia, Middle East, Japan declining, but it will come up again. But if you want to go into other places that are new and take market share, Eastern Europe is big. And the next 5 years, I truly believe if you're first to market, position yourself, some parts of Africa, it sounds crazy, will come up as well. South Africa, e-commerce is getting there. So if you're there first in South Africa, you're going to be great. Nigeria is already taken off, but it's very hard to penetrate the Nigerian market without links there. So those are two countries. And in terms of America, I think you'll see more people utilize Mexico for supplies and so forth, upper forth and cheaper labor. And America itself will get competitive. So you've got to be very careful with what you launch and your launch budget as well. And Canada has always been a weak market, but there's still opportunity to improve.
Wow. Thank you. Very, very fast, brief.
Sorry, I can comment.
Explaining. Yeah, but about all the world and what is going to happen. Thank you for your vision very much. Yeah. So let's say something to the newcomers, like somebody who doesn't have 100,000, 500,000 to buy companies, someone who is just starting. What would you suggest them?
What would I suggest is do your homework. Don't take too much time, but find the right people to listen to. Listen to everyone, but then don't hire anyone. So, right? Listen to Pradeep, listen to Alex, but don't hire them. Save money, be very prudent. Launch a small product and understand the system. Say, hey, maybe I don't have 100,000, but I'm willing to have 5,000 and I'm willing to risk losing this 5,000. But I'm learning the Amazon backend. I'm learning shipping. I'm learning PPC. I'm learning so forth. Subscribe to Helium 10 or Jungle Scout or whatever. Or go on YouTube, learn these things and learn the structure. For me, I don't know anything about business at Amazon. I sat there in a Chinese hotel and my parents like, come back. I'm like, no, I'm selling toys. I'm not coming back. Because I was learning from these people. So if you learn in space the 3 months and you think you understand, you launch a small product with a small budget, and don't worry if you're not in profitability. Don't worry if you can't do it. You're learning the system. Then once you learn the system, I guarantee you opportunities will arise, right? But don't go into it saying, hey, I'm going to find a golden product. I'm going to sell. I'm going to make money. I think the learning process is very important now. And once you do it, and once you surround yourself with the right people and advice, you're okay. And go to your local meetings. I know it's very hard in certain countries, but go to webinars who are free. Go to podcasts like your podcast. Talk to people. By the way, something I did, right, as a newcomer, every single day, I say to people, I used to tell my students, if your diary is not packed, you will not be successful. Every single day, every agency, every consultant, every WAPI or so, I made a booking. I made a booking Zoom call. I said, look, I want to know what service you do and how that improves Amazon or e-commerce and what am I learning. So every person I learned the people, I learned agencies, I learned knowledge, and I learned the network. Now, I didn't hire everyone. I'm sorry for everyone. I didn't trick you, but I was trying to learn. But anyone can do that in the world now if you're a beginner. So you just, talk to WAPI, talk to Arena, talk to, Alex is very busy, but talk to Vlada, talk to people, and they will tell you, this is what they do. And you learn, Germany, you can fulfill in Germany. You can't from outside, you can go to Netherlands. VAT number is very important in Germany. So those things you don't know as a newcomer, but if you talk, you understand. And then when you need them, you got them as well.
Pradeep, actually, what I'm doing with this podcast for already 3 years, I'm giving all this information for free with best specialists of the world. So guys, the first thing you should just take a seat, take your Coke, anything you want to eat, pizza, and watch it, because it's a huge amount of information about everything in e-commerce. And thankfully, I don't know why I meet such great people as Pradeep, and they share with you even more unbelievable things that I hear. The things that you say, they're so brilliant. I'm like, like entrepreneur, I want to stand up, go and start to work, because we need to scale. We need to scale tomorrow.
Go and buy fulfillment, man. And Alex said Coca-Cola. You're not Coke, like sniffing Coke, but Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola is better. Yeah,
not
no,
Coke.
not no Coke.
But I want to say apologies for anyone. I don't have any special hacks or how to change the back end or how to change PPC, but hacks about life, and also keep it simple. We're seeing a lot of businesses fail because the fundamentals are wrong. Look back at your calls, look back at inventory, talk to people like WAPI, and make sure the foundations are simple, because that's where we think you gain most of the stuff.
Yeah, that sounds absolutely great. Pradeep, thank you very much. Is there something you want to say to the listeners? Like, what can they contact you, email you, anything?
Yeah, email us. It's pks@donsel.com. The best place to get me is on LinkedIn, Pradeep Kumar Sacitharan. I think you have the name somewhere here on the podcast.
Everything will be down there.
Yeah, that's the best place to get me. I'm here to help and serve the world. Anything you need, I literally, people test me and I'm like, oh, shit, he's right. I will come back to you for free. We do specialist consulting for some people, some companies, but it has to be the right synergy. So we're happy to talk to you about those things. But advice, anything you need, just reach out. I'll come back to you.
Thank you very much, Pradeep. Thank you, everybody who is listening to us. And please, if you have any questions about fulfillment, final mile delivery, localization of your listings in all of the European countries, if you want to sell on multi-channel, not only on Amazon, if you want to sell on Allegra, if you want to go to other marketplaces of Europe, please contact us. We will love to help you. This is what we're doing. We're very, very passionate to help e-com sellers go global. Please contact me on LinkedIn or contact us at our website, and stay tuned. Next webinars will be very soon. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.